I'm getting ready to throw some stones at the blank slate ideology. You ready? Psychology is biology. Let's get into it. Before we go further, my name is Casey, and I have been a husband, father, therapist, and concerned conservative man for more than a decade, and I have seen the majority of my therapy clients benefit exceedingly more from considering the biology of their problem versus the psychology of their problem. And if you can get behind a future that allows for us to actually have positive mental health based on our physical bodies and the truth of God's creation, please like on the way in. Let's get into exactly what we mean when we say psychology is biology. Your thoughts ride on neurons, your mood on neurotransmitters, your stress on cortisol, and your motivation rides on dopamine. You don't have floating thoughts, you have electrochemical activity inside of a physical brain, and that brain sits inside your body, which means this: if your body is inflamed, so too will your mind be off. And so as a psychologist and as a therapist who sees an exceeding amount of people in my career, I can tell you that when they try to solve the biological problems, the fitness problems, their ability to reckon with their psychology goes up so fast. And if most of my clients had sat down and tried a few simple things to hack their brains, they would not have needed therapy in the first place. Let's look at exactly 3 things that might help you avoid a therapist, might help you be able to understand how your biology is affecting your mind. Your gut produces 90% of your serotonin, and for those of us who might have taken an SSRI at some point in our life, you know that serotonin is very indicated in whether you feel positive emotion or feelings of well-being, sort of that peaceful neurochemical. And we know now that when somebody comes in that might have a reduction in serotonin or they are serotonin deficient, that it might actually be not because of what they're putting in their mind, their ears, but actually what they're putting in their gut. Studies show links between gut health and depression, anxiety, brain fog, and irritability. We all suffer from these things, and it is inherent states of being a human being, but we might be able to reduce the frequency, intensity, and duration of those negative mood states if we're able to put good in. And that doesn't just mean good in your mind, it means good in your gut. Now, what can improve your gut health? Fiber-rich whole foods, fermented things like yogurt, the good gut biome stuff, adequate protein, reducing ultra-processed foods, and managing stress. Now, certainly your gut biome isn't everything, but for those of us who've been looking at the research over recent bipolar depression patients, when they're in a controlled environment and they're able to control their diet, a great many of them had exceedingly better outcomes in fighting their bipolar depression than if they were out here just managing it, even with medication management and other ways that traditional psychiatry and psychology would have tried to handle bipolar depression. So if you feel sluggish, if you feel brain fog, it might actually be not just what you're putting at your eyes, but what you're putting in your gut. The next thing that might hack your psychology through biology is exercise. We know, obviously, that you are given a certain amount of fight or flight neurochemicals every morning. They especially regenerate when you sleep. And if you do not give a positive outlet for those neurochemicals to go, because we used to chase lions, we used to farm, we used to do so many physical things, your brain has prepared you for fight or flight. And if you exercise, especially early in the day, you will see a positive impact on the amount of neurochemicals that you have to give into stress later throughout the day. So if your fight or flight neurochemicals are a bucket, there's 100 units in that bucket, and exercising in the morning takes 34 of those units out of the bucket, then you only have so many to give for those stressful moments throughout the rest of the day. That doesn't mean you won't be prepared if something actually out of necessity cause those neurochemicals to ignite. However, it does mean that when you have the small stressors, when you have a collection of a lot of little things that's overwhelming you, you won't have as much prevalence of those units running over and causing you to have a fight or flight response when it seems unwarranted. Curing your anxiety, or at least fighting the frequency, intensity, and duration of your anxiety, might actually start with you lifting heavy things. Of course, there are so many other benefits to exercise, but it also gives us an esteem for ourselves where we feel better as we begin to look better. And for men, it increases testosterone, which is obviously indicated in resilience against stress. It's indicated in motivation and goal-directed behavior. And yes, even pursuing relationships or other positive interventions in your life that can cause increases in positive mental health too. Because that girl across the way from you, if she is able to be on your arm, that might actually improve your mental health too. But if you don't lift a weight first, you might not be lifting her finger later. Depression hates momentum, and your body was designed for motion. So if you're able to get that going, if you're able to start positively by lifting heavy things or even just taking that walk first thing in the morning, you might be able to put aside some of these depression and anxiety symptoms that seem to be haunting us. Now, the prevalence of anxiety and depression among Gen Z individuals is like twice as much as it was previously, and so our internet sleuthing and our persistent internet use is actually inhibiting us from having positive mental health. So get out, lift heavy things, touch grass, and you might be able to gain some momentum that depression will hate. Sunlight regulates your circadian rhythm, and morning light exposure calibrates cortisol release and melatonin production. So if there isn't light in your eyes in the first 10 to 20 minutes that it's available in the day, your circadian rhythm might be off, and you might actually have a reduced outcome in the amount of epinephrine and other neurochemicals that give you energy. If you are able to, please take a walk outside, no glasses, no sunglasses, eyes toward the horizon. And it sounds simple because it is, but you can imagine our brains and bodies have adapted to when the sun rose, we needed to have all of the energy necessary to begin to fight and flight and provide for ourselves throughout that day. And if we give into the ability to walk first thing in the morning or take that sunlight into our eyes, we are actually just setting in motion that biological clock, that biological prevalence of neurochemicals that gave us all the energy that we needed to fight lions and to chase things and to farm and to fight wars throughout the entirety of human history. It's time to revisit what it was to be that warrior. But if you live in a cave, you can't expect to be a lion when you get out. And if you can look around my office right now, I don't have any windows either. We've locked ourselves in communist hellscapes, and we expect that we're going to have outcomes like capitalists. It's not going to happen. To pull it all together, psychology is biology, but biology is not destiny. It is a earmark that you can use to begin to affect your psychology positively. If you're struggling right now, please lift something heavy. Start by eating one meal in a better direction this week, or get sunlight in your eyes, or even use red light therapy, or even a tanning bed if you have to. It's not that these things are just trendy. They are actually the most antiquated and the most ancestral and heritage solutions to problems we forgot we had. We lock ourselves inside, we doom scroll, and then we expect outcomes like we can be one of the production bros coming out of Cal Newport's newest book. That is just not true. You can affect your biology positively, and then you will miss the therapy office. You won't have to see Midwestern midwits like me, and then you might be able to unlock your destiny. If you would like to get behind a future of faith, fatherhood, and freedom in America, please like, share, and subscribe. I appreciate your support.